This is the 2020 BMW 228i xDrive Gran Coupe, or if you prefer, Gran Coupe. But before we get started, let's address some BMW fanboy concerns. I can't even tell you how many times I've heard the line, "This front-wheel drive based piece of looks like a Kia." Well, regarding that front-wheel drive based platform, the only car that got butchered in this process is the BMW 1 Series that we don't even get in North America. So the only guys that are justified in really complaining about this change are the guys that have a 1 Series BMW or wanted one. The 2 Series Gran Coupe is an all-new variant. It doesn't replace anything, and it's based on the F45 2 Series Active Tourer and F46 Grand Tourer, which are MPV-like vehicles available in Europe and China and possibly elsewhere. The 2 Gran Coupe, or for short, let's call it the 2GC, competes against the Mercedes CLA, maybe if you want the Audi A3, even though it's not like a coupe-ish thing, but I didn't hear anybody complain about those cars being based on a front-wheel drive platform, even though they also are available with all-wheel drive. Now regarding the looks, yes, this thing does look like a Kia in certain angles, sure, maybe in the front a bit, but I'm not sure who copied who, as this face is not new to BMW. This face has been out since 2014, so you can't really accuse the original for resembling the counterfeit. It's totally okay if you don't like the design. I mean, personally, I also cringed a bit when I saw those MPV things in Europe. I was like, eesh. But, you know, good or bad, it's in everybody's own eyes. Whatever you like, you like. Also, keep in mind that the next generation 2 Series Coupe and Cabriolet will remain on rear-wheel drive platforms. So now that we got all this out of the way, let's see what we got right here. This 4-door compact coupe is based on the UK L2 platform, which among others is also used for the Mini Countryman and Clubman, and X1 and X2. It has very aggressive styling. The standard LED headlights have a dynamic kink on the bottom that's new, and the black grills provide that sporting edge. The rear is very similar to the firm's SUV coupe things, like the X4 and X6, with the taillights sticking out and that accent line going across and through the emblem. It's pretty good looking. The profile is overall rounded to increase interior space, but has a nice nerve along the belt line, and the side skirts look quite aggressive. Somehow though, it makes it look taller than it really is, which is not the ideal perception of a design for something that's supposed to be a 4-door coupe. In my eyes, the CLA looks a little bit better than this. Unfortunately for BMW, the CLA also looks better inside. But that's only in terms of design. In terms of quality, usability, fit and finish, I actually think the 2GC is better. They have used a mixture of soft and hard plastics. I was expecting soft ones in areas they put hard ones, and vice versa, but overall, I like the interior a lot, even though it's not as fancy as the Benz. Another area where the 2GC seems to lack against the CLA is usable technology, like fancy navigation systems and whatever, but this 2GC has really advanced technology when it comes to driving assistance, and I don't mean lane keeping assistance stuff, I mean torque vectoring control and LSD stuff, but we will talk about that when we touch base on handling. The interior is of course not the roomiest. BMW claims the rear seats offer almost as good legroom and headroom as the 3 Series, but that's really not true. Behind a kind passenger, who out of courtesy has moved the seat forward, a tall adult will fit just fine, but behind an average height driver, like me, that likes keeping his driving position unchanged for passengers, it'll be really snug, especially for the legs and feet. The front seats are very comfortable. They support the body really well. I have support exactly where I want it, and I can also adjust the side bolsters, which is a very welcome feature. The driving position itself is a bit more sporty compared to like a Mini Clubman. It's a bit more sunken down. I like it a lot. The trunk is a good 430 liters, but has an inconvenient opening, as there's not much depth on the top side, so you can't really drop something in. You can just like put it there and push it in. Surprisingly, visibility is great, and the panoramic roof allows a lot of light inside, which makes it feel very nice. Underneath the hood, you get a 2.0-liter B46 four-cylinder engine, which makes 228 horsepower and 256 pound-feet of torque. It's also mated to a pretty good 8-speed automatic transmission. It's very smooth, it shifts up and down rather quickly. However, it's not as good as the 8-speed ZF transmissions that BMW puts in cars with longitudinally mounted engines. So, it's a small price to pay. 0 to 100 kilometers an hour comes in 6.1 seconds with launch control, because that's the only way it allows maximum torque to be delivered in first and second gear. For a base car, at least here in North America, performance is actually able to thrill a little bit. The engine is very linear, it pulls very well from low revs. It pumps fake engine sounds into the cabin through the very good Harman Kardon sound system. You can reduce that sound if you don't like it. And the exhaust in the back doesn't sound that bad, to be honest. For your real-life requirements, this car and this engine and this drivetrain will totally satisfy. It's not a cheap compromise. It's actually a really good drivetrain. The 2GC comes with a standard rear multi-link suspension and can optionally be fitted with dynamic dampers. But in this case, we have the fixed-rate sport suspension, which is a bit on the stiff side, but not harsh at all. With the objectively low-profile 235/35/19 tires, some bumps do send the shockwave upwards, bump stops are never touched, and the chassis is rigid enough to take the beating, so overall, no complaints. Handling isn't anywhere near as exciting as in the rear-wheel drive-based 2 Series Coupe, but it is a bit sharper than the Mini Clubman. That's probably due to the lower center of gravity because it doesn't have that station wagon feel to it, and it also has more advanced electronics. With the dynamic traction control on, the car does full torque vectoring and brakes the inside wheels to make the car pivot faster. The steering is on the heavy side, but the car feels very well planted. If you want to push hard, you can set the traction to dynamic mode, and then the car will mimic an LSD in the front side and will help you put the power to the ground when you try to accelerate out of a corner, but it will interfere if the driver runs out of talent. If you completely disable all these systems, the driving experience is exactly the same as in dynamic mode. The only difference is that the car will let you crash. With everything turned off, it fights understeer for as long as possible, but eventually it loses to the laws of physics. It is, however, able to send up to 50% of the power to the rear. If you want a more aggressive driving experience, then you can upgrade the rear anti-roll bar to a thicker one or do a custom alignment. But the problem is, if you're shopping for a 2 Series Coupe and somehow you think, okay, I'll just go for the Gran Coupe for more practicality, that would be a lethal mistake because the two cars have no relation between them. They're totally different vehicles. The brakes have the upgraded sport brakes and they work very well, and the pedal also feels great. In a nutshell, it doesn't feel as sporty as, say, a 228i xDrive Coupe, but as we said back in the day when we were referring to modern minis and their revamp, if there's any company that can make a front-wheel drive car feel fun at all, that's probably BMW. If someone is shopping for a sports car and is considering a 2 Coupe, it would be a big mistake to end up with one of these. But for someone looking for an affordable way into a premium brand like BMW, this car is definitely not a letdown. With prices starting at $42,000, it is a bit cheaper than the CLA, which is the only exact match in the class. If you like this video, please remember to press the like button, share it with your friends, and most importantly, subscribe. Help us do more. It's in your hands. Till next time, be well.
Perfect.